Ah, strategy games. The things you play when you want the power of a god. I've always had a soft spot for these kind of games. Want to command legions of space marines? Go for it. Want to manage a spaceship on the run from the rebels? Easy. Strategy games have come a long way since video games were born. Like what role-playing games could do for Dungeons and Dragons, strategy games could give every board game life. The most obvious transition strategy could make to games was making it real time, giving all those models life and allowing them to really move and obey your commands. The 90s began to blossom with pixelated messes of strategy. It was a rocky time where these games were tinkering with what worked and what didn't. Games such as Warcraft 1, Settlers, Command & Conquer, and Age of Empires all set the bar for strategy games. This showed not just how strategy could work, but the breadth of what it could do. This culminated to the peak of 90s strategy, notably with the release of StarCraft. From the creators of Warcraft, StarCraft was huge and arguably the first proper esports scene to ever be born from a game. With a beautiful asymmetric system of gameplay between three races, it captured the imaginations of people all around the world. At the end of the century, the strategy gods also blessed us with Homeworld, which had revolutionary controls of 3D space that hadn't succeeded so much in strategy before. Over the next decade, strategies flourished and evolved. Developers really played with what could be done with the genre. Warcraft 3 released with huge role-playing elements, allowing customizable heroes to be used. The Total War games greatly increased the number of units in play. The Dawn of War series completely let go of normal resource gathering and simply allowed you to capture strategic points to make units. Company of Heroes, Supreme Commander, Civilization, the list of good strategy games goes on and on. So why is it we never seem to see strategy games at the forefront of gaming in 2016? Even the most popular strategy game, StarCraft 2's esports scene and player base, withers in comparison to games in the MOBA and first-person shooter genres. The first issue with strategy is accessibility. Strategy games at their core can be very complicated. It takes a lot of effort to simplify them enough for large audiences to become interested, while retaining the depth that strategy is expected to have. It's a lot easier to pick up the basics when watching a CSGO match than a StarCraft 2 match. Audiences of very young gamers would nearly certainly gravitate to Minecraft as opposed to Civilization 5. Another key issue with the popularity of strategy games is the success of consoles. Strategy games' tendency to be complex can be a real bane when real-time strategies want to go on a console. PC gaming has been booming for years, but even after years of rising, PC is only just about to surpass 50% of all non-mobile game sale revenue. This means that for just about forever, consoles have had a larger chunk of the market. Trying to play fast-paced strategies on consoles is a nightmare. Games have to be completely designed around the simplicity of the controllers, which can really neuter the depth that a game can have. Most strategy games I can remember being made for or ported to consoles haven't been far short of a disaster, with control problems being a common issue for anything more complicated than Plants vs Zombies. The only real-time strategy game I can think of to even make a ripple on console surface was Halo Wars, which was commendable. But it's hard to imagine that gaining any traction at all without the Halo label attached to it. Even successful turn-based strategy games like XCOM Enemy Unknown, whose gameplay isn't hindered by console controls, still sold very poorly on consoles. This happened even though it sold excellently on PC due to the game's merit. So much that its sequel XCOM 2 was made a PC exclusive partially because of this. XCOM 2's creative director Jake Solomon even stated they had ambitious goals for the game that could only be accomplished with the depth that PC can bring. So where will strategy games go in the future? If PC continues the way it's going, strategy games will follow suit as financially beneficial projects. As computers get more powerful, I believe strategy games can benefit the most from increasing draw distance, graphical fidelity, and the amount of things that can happen on a screen at once. If console controls can ever change, real-time strategies could definitely flourish on their platforms. With the rise of virtual reality and truly astounding technologies, anything could happen in the next decade. I personally look forward to fighting you with my army controlled by my eye movements and virtual reality goggles in 2025.